Hey, what's up, y'all? So I'm back on another Road to CCNA video. And in this lecture, we cover port security. So port security basically controls which MAC addresses and how many MAC addresses can access a port. This basically keeps unauthorized devices from connecting to that local area network. Now let's say we have a switch with port security enabled on it, default settings, and we have a PC that is connected to that port that port security is enabled on, and it sends a ping to a device that's also connected to a switch in a different interface. But that switch dynamically learns that MAC address of that PC. Now, if we were to unplug that PC and plug in a different one with a different MAC address, and we try to do another ping on that same interface, by default, it will enter an error disabled state. Now, when it enters that error disabled state, not even the original PC can send pings or communicate at all over that interface. It has to be re-enabled one of two ways. Is by doing a shutdown, then no shutdown command. But first, you always got to unplug it from the device that caused the error disabled state. And there's also another command that can automatically bring it back up and running. Now, as far as default settings go, when it comes to port security, that pretty much sums everything up. You can customize how you want your port security to work on your switch. One of the things you can do is you can add more MAC addresses, so you can learn more MAC addresses than just one, which is the default setting. You can change the violation mode, meaning that it doesn't have to, your interface doesn't have to go into a shutdown state. There is also restrict mode and there's protect mode, which basically do the same thing. They will just discard any traffic being sent from that unknown MAC address. So going back to that example we did earlier, if we were to unplug it from PC1 and add it to a second PC with an unknown MAC address, it'll just discard traffic from that specific PC, and you don't have to worry about hitting the shutdown and no shutdown command to bring the interface back up. The interface keeps running. It's just that it won't receive traffic from that unauthorized PC or device. Also, I want to add restrict mode generates SNMP and syslog messages, while protect mode does not. But yeah, outside of a few details, that pretty much sums up everything we covered in the lesson today. We do have a lab, so hopefully I get to get into those details that I didn't talk about in the video. But yeah, overall very important topic. Helps protect against MAC flooding, makes the job of a network admin or engineer a lot easier, just keeping, unwanted devices from connecting to the LAN. All right, so we got our lab right here, starting with number one, configure port security in the following interfaces. Those are the interfaces. Maximum address, 1, that is a default setting, so we won't have to worry about changing that. Sticky learning disabled, that is also default. And aging time 1 hour, that is not default, if I'm not mistaken. When you enable port security, the aging time is unlimited. So let's go. All right, so I did my first commands. We went to interface config mode, interface range, F0, 1 through 3, because we're going to configure it on all three of these. Port security can only be configured on access ports or trunk ports. So I did the switch port mode access command, and then I configured it right here, switch port security. Now we're configuring the aging time, 60 minutes with this command right here. Now do show port security to confirm everything. So we got our maximum secure address allowed, 1. Current 0 because we haven't sent anything yet. Violation 0, and then the security action shutdown. That's the default setting. Like I said, if we were to receive a ping or any type of traffic from an unauthorized device, it would shut down the interface and we won't be able to send anything over it. Now for switch 2, G01, violation mode restrict, maximum address is 4, sticky learning enabled. Okay, none of these are default configurations, so we're going to go in there and do each of those. Okay, so we want to switch to 001 interface, switch port mode access, makes it an access port, enable port security, set the violation to restrict. So one thing I didn't touch on about the difference between restrict and protect. So restrict actually generates syslog and SNMP messages. That's the difference between the two. Protect doesn't. So, but they both do the same thing in terms of restricting or not receiving traffic from an unauthorized MAC address. And I set the switch port security MAC address to sticky. Now, this will save any dynamically learned MAC addresses to the running config. And I ended up doing a write command to save everything because if you don't, then you'll lose those dynamically learned MAC addresses. So now for number 2 in the last part of this lab. Now, trigger port security violations on switch 1 and switch 2, for example, by connecting another PC and observe the actions taken by each switch. Okay, so what I just did was I pinged, did a ping right here to that IP address, which is the IP address of the router on the other side of the topology. Why did I do this? This is so switch 1 can dynamically learn the MAC addresses of all those PCs, and that way that is saved as their one MAC address that they're allowing traffic from. So when I add another PC or I switch the PCs on the interfaces, this should trigger port security. And there you go. After sending those pings, all of the MAC addresses are saved because that current address part right here has updated to 1 instead of 0, like right here. So okay, it looks a little messy, but I switched the interfaces to separate PCs. Now let's try and ping again. And we are trying to ping, and we are not getting a connection. Why? Because of port security. So let me see. Yep. Appreciate y'all.